Well, g'day ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a video about our studio. So Kim, my wife, and I decided to build a studio in our backyard. Our business is growing and we needed the space for storage and a better workspace. We had one small room in our house that we're using for our office and we needed some room to expand. So basically we decided to build a 10 metre by 4 metre studio in the backyard. I had an old chicken house there. You may have seen it on the channel. It was called Cluckingham Palace. All of our chooks had passed away except one, and I've got her over in another area in the garden. And the other thing that was here was an old shed, a very old shed, and the cement in it was not stable and it wasn't level and it was a pain to work in. So we decided to demolish all that and build this studio. So please join me in this video and check out how we made, or how the studio was built. There's a bit of time lapse there. There's a bit of voiceover explanation on the features and the things that we built into it. So on day one, the builders turned up, and as you can see there, they're just prepping the ground. The project started a little bit earlier than this, about 2 weeks before, when we cleared the old chook house and the old shed. That took quite a while to do. But you can see that the builders are bringing the stuff in from the curbside, and they're digging the holes for what's known as the mega anchors. Because we have clay in the ground, this is a system they use. They use those 1.5 metre poles in a triangle formation, and they pound them into the ground, and that supports the frame of the studio, the floor frame. So as you can see here on day two, they're actually prepping that and putting the main joists, I suppose, onto the mega anchors and securing them to it. So on day three, they continued that job, continued with the frame and made sure everything was cut to length and all level, of course. And then they secured the cross beams to the joists that were connected to the mega anchors, and then just tidied that up with the side frame. So it looks pretty good. And this is an inspection point. Sorry for the blurry footage there. They had an inspector out before they started this, and they started to put the floorboards on and started to check the frame of the building, the side frames. On day 5, they finished off the rest of the frame, finished the firewall, the cement sheeting on the side that was going to go up near the fence. And then they clad that with corrugated iron. The colour we're using is on the corrugated, the colour bond is Wallaby, which is a light grey colour. Now all of the windows in the building, you can see 3 of them there, they're all double glazed, and that'll keep a lot of the heat and the cool in the building depending on which season it is. You can see they're putting another frame up there. And they didn't quite finish. Here's a bit of a drone footage of what they've completed so far, and you'll be able to see in a second the actual footprint of the building in our backyard. So there we go, up and away. And you can see there it's quite close to the pool. It's about 2 to 3 metres away from the side of the swimming pool, and a mandatory 3 metres from the rear fence. There has to be an easement there because there is an inspection pipe. Now on day 6, they continued putting up the walls. Notice there's no windows cut out yet, but that'll happen a little bit later on. Putting up the final wall where the glass door, the glass window are. I have to say these guys were pretty efficient in getting everything done in a fairly short period. Putting the ceiling on now, which is a prefabricated part. It's got tin on one side, tin on the other side, and in between they have this foam, which is the insulation. So that was finished. On day 7, they're now putting up the veranda, or the little deck in the front there with a overhang, cutting out the windows, as you can see there, and slowly but surely fitting the edges to the roof and the gutters on the other side. And fitted the glass into the window frames. And that's where they got to at the end of that day. So on day 8, early start as always, and they're going to be putting the doors in. It rained a little bit that day, so made it all a bit muddy inside. But they're putting the cedar cladding on the outside of the front of the studio, putting the door frame in, and putting in the sliding doors. So that's all finished off now on day 10. You can see there it's all fully cladded and towards lockup. So they kind of handed it over to us from there on, and we continued it on. So on day 17, or the day before, the electricians came along and ran all of the cable work for the general purpose outlets and data and air conditioning. So we have an air conditioner in this room as well. That's the cable for the light strips. So fairly Spartan at the moment, because there's no plasterboard or gyprock on the walls itself, and no insulation. So we had a total of 16 general purpose outlets fitted into the studio, so we had ample power for whatever we were going to do with it. And you can see that the back storeroom also has power in it as well. So there's a view just looking down towards the door of the studio. Now you can see on the floor there, the inspector wanted to come back for a second time, so they had to cut a hole in the floor to do some repair work on one of the joists. The inspector wanted extra bolts in it. So on day 35, the plasterers have been and done their first run over. They put insulation in the walls, they put rock wool into the walls, and then plastered over the top, and done a fairly good job. They haven't sanded it back or anything yet, and left a terrible mess. I kind of thought that they would at least clean up their mess before they left, but they didn't. And the light rails are in as well. You can't see any of the power points yet because I haven't pulled them through, but that'll be after they sand it. The electricians will be back very soon. And that's the rear storeroom as well. There we go. So mainly photos from now on. I didn't have any more footage, but on day 45, the walls were painted after the plasterers had finished the job, and the electricians had been back and put all the general purpose outlets in. So a nice matte white on the inside. Kind of gives the illusion to give it a bigger space. So we went with that colour. We also had to get a step fitted because that was one of the regulations we had to adhere to. So that got fitted so we can get it back up on the deck. We also then got some floating floorboards added. A nice colour there. I think it's called recycled hardwood. And they just clipped together, and that was installed throughout the whole studio. Kim put her first painting in on the same day. It looks absolutely fantastic. And we hung that up and put one of the spotlights towards it. And there's the air conditioner all finally fitted. It really does cool and heat this place quite well. We don't need it on very long because, as I mentioned before, all the windows are double glazed. I put 3 benches or tables in for our office part of the studio, all with computer mats, and we'll have computer chairs. And out in the back storeroom, I built a whole bunch of racks, and we have a restocking table there for filling up things like botanical flowers and all sorts of stuff for bath bombs. So there's ample rack space in there as well. We also moved a wardrobe out of the spare room that we had, and we filled that with stock as well. I've put that back together and put it into the storeroom and fixed it to the wall. On day 75, we got some kitchen benches and cupboards for more storage and stuff if we have one-on-one workshops out here. And of course, mandatory wine rack for wine time Fridays after a long week at work. And there's just the view down towards the door end of the studio. So on day 95, we had kind of moved in, put the cheesy chair of wisdom, as you just see on the side door there, a little dog basket for the doggos. We have a nice little tea and coffee area, a little fridge. The fridge doubles as storage for rennet and calcium chloride, that sort of stuff for cheese making. We'll also have some racks in the main room as well, just for kits and stuff that we purchase from suppliers. And there's the fully decked out stocking table with the scale that's accredited to the Australian standards of weight, and we've got a freezer for cultures and some boxes that need to be unpacked there, as you can see. We've got a locker system there for some more storage as well. And we've got a PC, and the PC and the printer there. I use the PC for editing. In fact, I'm editing this video on that PC. So not quite finished yet, still a bit of stuff there to put away. We've got a central island which will have wheels. We'll be able to move that around and use that for soap and candle and bath bomb making videos that we plan to do. And after a hard day's work, we can sit in the cheesy chair of wisdom. So I reckon that we dreamt this up, we believed in it, and we achieved the studio. A lot of work on our behalf as well, but some great work by the builders. So there you have it. That was the studio build and tour. Hope you enjoyed the time lapse and all that sort of stuff. It's not quite finished yet. Still got a few things to do. We've got some shelves to put up above the cupboard system, the kitchen cupboards. We've also got a sink that's going to go in, and we have to get a plumber in to get that fitted. So that's all looking good. Other than that, not too much else to do except get rid of some of the stock in the back room. There was lots in the boxes, so they're going to be put in the cupboards and in the racks. So that'll be pretty cool. Get that all put away. And start restocking the shop, which is what we're trying to do at the moment. Other than that, we also got to do some landscaping around the outside. It's still pretty, looks like a bit of a builder's nightmare out there, but we're going to get that fixed, and there shouldn't be too many issues with that. A little bit of hard graft and we'll get that done. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the build and the studio tour, and this is kind of where we do our work now. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next vlog.